when former Colorado Gov. John Hickenlooper announced last week that he'd be abandoning his bid for the Democratic Party's 2020 presidential nomination. It was widely assumed that he'd launch a campaign against U.S. Senator Cory Gardner, the only Colorado Republican to hold statewide office. But rather than stepping away from one race and immediately into another, Hickenlooper instead said he'd be carefully weighing his next move, which might or might not be a run for Senate. Not so long ago, such a move would have been a no-brainer. But not these days, when folks haven't exactly been clamoring to gain entry into the U.S. Senate, long considered the world's most exclusive club. Rather, a whole host of politicos who'd once have been considered prized Senate candidates are instead reaching for another brass ring, the presidency. Hickenlooper, former U.S. Representative Beto O'Rourke of Texas, Montana Governor Steve Bullock. Each is seen as having a decent shot at winning a seat in the Senate next year, but, until Hickenlooper's decision to quit the presidential race, would settle for nothing less than the White House. The Senate is broken, and has been for quite some time now. How ingrained is Senate dysfunction? In his memoir, Working, published earlier this year, historian Robert A. Caro wrote that, in the 59 years since Lyndon Johnson left the Senate, no one's been able to make the Senate work. Think about that. 59 years. No wonder folks aren't itching to get themselves into the once-hallowed U.S. Senate. Sure, the job title is impressive, and the perks are nothing to sneeze at. But the position comes with frustrations aplenty, and little reason to hope for a better tomorrow. That said, Democrats who are itching to get one of their own elected president next year would do well to consider how little a new president would be able to accomplish if Republicans continued to hold the gavel in the upper chamber. A President Elizabeth Warren could assume office carting a detailed plan for any occasion, but they'd all come to nothing if Mitch McConnell, the Kentucky Republican who seems to see his job as majority leader as keeping things from getting done, stood in the way. Rather than having seemingly half of their party members seeking the presidency, Democrats need to be recruiting the best candidates they can find to run for seats in the Senate. Though the institution is broken, if Democrats can find a way to win back the majority, they'll at least be able to remove a few of the existing roadblocks that McConnell has erected. Let's block ads. Why?